Welcome back to the channel. It's another video in that series I've been doing about cornering on the bike. And in this video I'm going to look at steering, how you steer the bike into the corner. We're going to look in detail at a technique that's commonly known as countersteering. It's quite interesting, this countersteering, because I think when I first learnt this technique, it was, you know, you listen to what you're supposed to do and it totally goes against everything that you think you should be doing on the bike. If you ask somebody to describe, without thinking about it in too much detail, how you turn the bike into a corner, it's very difficult to describe, isn't it? I would think that we use a bit of body weight movement and a little bit of shoulder movement, and there isn't a lot of movement of the steering of the handlebars on the steering yoke, but there's a bit, and it feels like I'm physically steering the bike into the corners a little tiny bit, but it's mostly to do with lean angle and moving your body weight around on the bike. But actually the important thing is, how do we get the bike into the corner at first? And I actually think that most people who ride a bike of any description, including bicycles, probably use a countersteering technique without actually realising they're doing it. So in very simple terms, countersteering means that if I'm approaching a left-hand bend, the first thing I'm going to do to steer the bike into that left-hand bend is push the left-hand handlebar away from me. Effectively, I am going to steer right to turn left. Now that sounds ridiculous if you don't give it much thought. Why would you possibly steer right to go left? But I want you to give it that little bit of thought. Think logically. I'm on the bike now, travelling in a straight line. If I push that handlebar away from me, the first thing that's going to happen is the bike's going to steer right slightly, but the effect of that is that the bike is going to want to lean left. Because for every action in physics, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So if the action is that I push that handlebar away from me on the left hand side, the bike will steer right, but the bike's weight will go left. So the secret is that we only momentarily push the handlebar, the opposite handlebar away. So over here I push the handlebar away to the right, and then very quickly catch it with my body weight and lean the bike into the corner. There's loads and loads of videos about this on YouTube. I have never pretended to be the world's expert in bike handling and handling characteristics and limit handling and things like that. But countersteering, actually, if you start to think about it, it works really, really well. Now, I actually believe that I was doing this before I even realised I was doing it, or before I even put a name to it. But here, for this left-hander now, I'm going to push the left hand away. I'm going to do it a little bit rough for this right-hander, push it away, and look what happens, the bike tips in. So you want to perhaps think of it in terms of, we know we're going to lean the bike right into this corner, so why not push the handlebar down? For this one, push it down, and you get an immediate and very sharp and very responsive turn into the corner. And countersteering as well can get you out of trouble when you're perhaps going a bit quick in a corner, or you've got your line wrong. It can help you sort your line out through the corner. If you're going a bit wrong, you need to make an adjustment to your steering line in the corner. Countersteering is the way to do it, but you've got to have the presence of mind to use it. A lot of people sort of in a panic situation where things are going wrong, they'll just grab the brakes or try and stand the bike up and ride around it. If you can keep a little bit of presence of mind, you suddenly need to tighten your line going around a corner, a little shove in the opposite direction on the handlebar can really sort that issue out. It can really just get the bike around that corner where things are going a bit wrong. Not that things should be going wrong, but hey, we're all human, and I've been in that position a few times, and I've had to use countersteering, and it's worked very, very well for me. So I'm heading up A57 now towards Glossop, towards the Snake Pass. If we can get a little bit more of an open stretch of road where we get the road to ourselves, let's demonstrate this counter steering technique. I have to say, I find it difficult to think in terms of pushing the handlebar away from me or steering left to go right. I have more of a tendency to think about pushing that side of the bike down into the corner. So if I'm going round to the right, I'm pushing the right handlebar down into the corner, because that's the angle I want the bike at through the corner. So for this right-hander now, just gently push the handlebar away from me into the corner. We've got a right-hander into a left-hander, a couple of cyclists, so I'm going to keep my position out towards the centre line. But just as we turn into this left-hander, I'm just pushing that left-hand handlebar down into the corner. And it's a very subtle movement. I'm just, if I analyse it a little bit, all I'm doing is just straightening that arm a little bit. So I'm sort of steering from this part of my forearm here, just from the elbow. And even for very small movements where I'm going to move out for these parked cars now, if I just push the handlebar away, the bike naturally goes in that direction, and back with the left again, and it comes back. Have a look at this right-hander coming up. Got the cyclist, that's going to affect our line. Just push that handlebar away and the bike turns in. I'm hoping that you can see this with the angle of lens that I've got set on the GoPro. Oh, do you know what? For all these years I've avoided coming to the Peak District, and I think I'm going to go back to avoid coming into the Peak District. It's a lovely part of the world. There's some cracking roads. It's just mithered with traffic and mithered with 50 mile an hour speed limits. So although once again we're on yet another 50 mile an hour limit road in the Peak District, let's just apply this principle at slightly higher speeds. As the speeds pick up and the speed of the corners that you're negotiating picks up, and that counter steering movement becomes more subtle, more gentle. Keep the bike nice and balanced. Gentle push down into this right-hander. And again. So, put up into this left-hander now. Gentle push down. So that's steering, counter steering, how we steer the bike into the corner, through the corner. We're coming out of the corner. That increase in acceleration helps the bike to stand up as well. So as we take that steering lock off, we move our body position up, stand the bike up, the acceleration helps us to bring the bike back upright again. So remember, this is one of the principles you need to link in with all the other stuff that I've talked about in this series of videos. Positioning, speed assessment, application of throttle through the corners. Hopefully you found this little series useful. If you have any questions, stick them in the comments below. I'll try and answer every question that everybody puts in there. But for now, thanks very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Press the notifications button as well. You get an email every time I upload a new video. And have a look at the website, reglocal.com. Loads more information there about advanced performance driving and riding. Information about the books, how you can get hold of a copy, and how you can have a day's driver or rider training with me, or rider coaching with me if you fancy it. And also give us a follow on Twitter at reglocal. But for now, thanks very much for watching. We'll see you next time.